neighbor, Shelley Burke, for a false claim leading to his arrest.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge.
Why are you, Kevin?
Case 2201, Parkinson versus Burke.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Parkinson, you are suing the defendant, alleging that she caused you to be falsely arrested.
That is correct.
The defendant has a counterclaim. Her counterclaim is based upon the same incident for which you were arrested. She's claiming that you placed both herself and her passenger in her car in fear because you displayed erratic behavior and threatened them with a gun. And I gather that you two live in a gated community. Is that correct?
Yes,
where is that?
Arkansas.
How long have you lived there?
8 years.
And you?
26 years.
This incident occurred on what date, sir?
June 7th.
Of last year.
Yes.
You were driving what kind of car, Mr. Parkinson?
A gray Toyota Tundra.
Sir, I think I know what that looks like. Could you bring that up for me so that I can see a Toyota Tundra?
Yes.
That doesn't sound like a little car. That sounds like a big car.
It's a truck.
Big. And what kind of car were you driving?
A Toyota Camry.
That I know what it looks like. It's a regular size, smallish car. This incident happened, according to the complaint, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's correct.
I'm going to start with you, Mr. Parkinson, since it's your claim for false arrest.
Yes.
So I want you to tell me your version of what happened on June 7th, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I assume you were on your way home.
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Go ahead.
Miss Burke pulled out of the station in front of my vehicle, directly in front of me, causing me to hit my brakes extremely hard.
Okay. Either because she wasn't paying attention, right?
Could be.
Could be. Well, you wouldn't think. Just let me stop. When was the last time you were psychiatrically hospitalized?
Never.
Are you currently taking any psychotropic medication?
No, ma'am.
Were you intoxicated on the 7th of June?
No, ma'am.
4 o'clock in the afternoon?
No, ma'am.
So, Mr. Parkinson, let me go back a little bit. This is a non-psychotic, not drunk person. So if you're a thinking person, you know that if she pulled out, either she wasn't paying attention because she's not driving the Tundra, you are. You're driving a this, she's driving a this. So she wouldn't place herself and her son in harm's way purposely to pull out in front of your Tundra.
I would hope not.
Well, I would say absolutely not. I don't have to even guess about that. She did not put herself purposely in harm's way. And so she pulled out in front of you. You had to put on your brakes hard.
For her safety.
You weren't thinking about her safety. You're not thinking about anybody's safety. It's a reaction. If somebody pulls out unexpectedly, you put your brakes on. Mm-hmm. Right? That's not going through your mind for her safety. It's put your brakes on. I mean, because if you were thinking about her safety, then we wouldn't be here today. So after you put on your brakes to stop, did anything happen?
Some objects in the back of my truck dislodged, some stuff in the back of the seat moved.
And these things that got dislodged, did they get dislodged from the back cab in the truck or from the interior of the truck?
Both in the bed and the interior.
Okay, what got dislodged in the interior?
Some paperwork, some clothing.
Okay, so it fell on the floor.
Yes.
Okay, and in the back part of the truck?
Bed of the truck, some tools shifted also.
Didn't fall out of the truck. They just moved from one place to another.
That is correct.
What did you do next?
I proceeded to follow Miss Burke into the village because I live in the village.
When you say you followed her in, describe what you mean you followed her in.
She was in front of me, and I followed her into the village.
Don't play with me, sir. I read your complaint. You were tailing her.
Yes.
Yes. Well, let's say I was tailing her closely because you were annoyed.
Yes.
There we go. So you understand at this point, sir, that what you were involved in is road rage. You, not her. She was an accident. She was negligent. She wasn't paying attention. Let's say all of those things, not an on purpose, because that would be stupid, and she has not recently been psychiatrically hospitalized. You, on the other hand, made a purposeful decision to tail her because you were annoyed that your tools moved. That's what happened. Would that be a fair statement, Mr. Parkinson?
Yes, I was annoyed.
Okay, you were annoyed, and what followed was an incident of road rage. Your husband, you've been in the car with him when he's had a little bit of road rage? Think about it before you answer me. Have you been in the car with him when he has reacted in a different way from the way you would have reacted to another car?
He has, very minimal.
And the answer is either yes or no. Have you been with him in the car when he has reacted in a way that you would not have reacted in a traffic situation?
Yes, ma'am.
I assume that the police searched the truck.
The police searched me.
Did they search the truck?
I gave the police the authority to search my truck willingly.
They searched the truck.
Brian Parkinson claims his neighbor, Shelley Burke, owes for the costs of being falsely arrested. Shelley is countersuing Brian for emotional distress, saying he threatened her with a gun.
And when he's reacted that way, did you ever say anything to him?
It was minimal. I didn't respond to it.
Really? Okay, good. When my husband gets involved in one of those road rage things because somebody cuts him off, I'm all over him like white on rice. Are you crazy, putting me in jeopardy because you got a bad temper? That's what I say to my husband. She can attest to that. Me, I once said up to a police officer who pulled him over, give him a ticket. Give him 2 tickets. Maybe he'll stop. Right?
True.
So now you're involved in a road rage hissy fit and you're tailgating her. How many blocks did you tail her? Or how many miles did you tail her? Don't look as if you don't understand my question.
No.
Okay, good.
3/4 of a mile, if that.
Okay, well, that's a pretty long way, 3/4 of a mile. So you were tailing her for 3/4 of a mile. And at some point, did she make a turn with her car to avoid you tailing her?
Yes.
A 90-degree turn?
Yes.
So tell me, now you're following her for 3/4 of a mile, and she makes this turn.
Yes.
Now, when she made that sharp turn, did you follow her?
Nope.
No.
No.
No. I know you didn't follow her because she made that turn to get away from you. Do you understand? I've been on this earth a very long time. You, Mr. Parkinson, are an ordinary guy with a bad temper. So I've played this scene in my head, both from personal experience and from watching other jerks like you, in my head 100 times. So when she made this turn, she made the turn to get away from you, and you said, well, I accomplished my mission. I jarred her a little bit. That's if I believe your story, all of it. And you went home. Now, I'm to the point where she makes the turn and you went home. So far, correct?
That is correct.
Does that look familiar to you, Mr. Parkinson?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so I would like you to walk over there, show me where the gas station is, and show me where you started to follow her.
I'll be more than happy to. Of course, it says Shell right here. That's where the incident began.
Right.
She pulled out immediately in front of me, causing me to hit my brakes.
Just a second. So she caused you to hit your brakes.
Yes.
That
And
I
then
know.
she turned right. I followed her into the village. Everybody gets close.
No. Just show me. I followed her into the village and
Right
show me
here.
where you proceeded.
And we drove down, and she turned, I believe, here or here.
Turned how?
To the right.
Okay. And you proceeded to your house.
Yes.
Okay. Now you can step back. So she turned off to get away from the maniac who was tailgating her because she had made a mistake in pulling out in front of him at a gas station. You go home, and what do you do when you get home?
I backed my truck in.
And then what did you do?
I got out of my truck to move the tools and stuff that had shifted to the front of the bed to the back of the bed where I can get to them better for work because I had to slam on the brakes twice.
Mr. Parkinson, do you know what doesn't make sense to me? Your husband isn't a stupid man, is he?
No, ma'am.
No. Now, I don't drive a truck, but I know when I go to the store and buy 2 gallons of chicken soup with matzo balls, and I go to put them in the car, I say to myself, Judy, it's possible that you're going to have to stop short, that a light's going to turn red. So I put the chicken soup in between the front seat and the back seat of the car, and I move the seat so it's stable, so that if my car stops a little short, because even if it stops a little short, my chicken soup would be on the floor of the car. So I make sure that it doesn't move. It just doesn't make sense to me why you wouldn't secure this toolbox any better. If you stop short, those tools are naturally going to move, right? The weight of the tools is actually going to move. Okay, so I just am putting this whole thing in my head. Do you need a permit to buy a gun in Arkansas?
You do not have to have a permit to carry in Arkansas. It is an
But you
open
have to make
carry
an
state.
application.
You have to apply to buy a handgun or long rifle.
Have you ever done that?
Yes, I have, multiple times.
Just a second. So the answer is yes.
Yes.
What have you applied to buy?
Numerous guns.
Which you still have.
Yes.
I assume that you keep those guns within the proximity of your home.
They are all kept in the house, Your Honor.
The next thing, according to you, the police show up at your door.
That is correct.
And they have a conversation with you about a report
Yes, they
that
did.
someone has, in your area, has complained that there were shots fired by you out of your truck during this road rage incident.
That's what the statement says.
That's what the statement says. And I assume that the police searched the truck.
The police searched me.
Did they search the truck?
I gave the police the authority to search my truck willingly.
They searched the truck.
I
Is
told
the
them
answer.
they could.
Mr. Parkinson, I know that you think that I'm stupid. I know that you must think that I'm stupid. Did you give the police permission to search your house? The answer is yes or no.
No.
Of course not. Because in your house, they would have found multiple guns. In your house, just that's a yes or a no. In your house, they would have found multiple guns.
Yes.
You keep multiple guns in your house, but don't carry one around for protection in your truck. When did they arrest you?
I was arrested on August 2nd.
Okay. And?
I was told to call the village police department. I promptly called them, and they told me I had a warrant for my arrest.
And?
I was very shocked,
And?
and I was charged with felony assault, and I had to pay $1,080 to bond and fees to get out of jail.
And?
I was released from jail. And then on the 17th, is that correct?
19th.
The 19th of August, I had a court date.
And?
It was nolle prost, due to the request of the village police department for lack of evidence.
Okay. And?
So I'm out that amount of money for bond for a false arrest because a false statement and half a day
Okay,
of
we're
work.
going to find out if it's a false statement. So far, I'm not thinking it's a false statement. I have to let that sink into you, Mr. Parkinson. So far, I'm not thinking it's a false statement. I'm going to hear the defendant. I know one thing for certain. You were involved in a road rage incident and you were the perpetrator. Whether or not you flashed a gun, she's going to tell me. We certainly know that you have guns, according to you, multiple guns, in your house. I suppose you have a couple for you and a couple for your wife. Who else lives in your house with you?
Just two of us.
Just the two of you. How many guns does he have in the house?
So when I go around this one S-car, I hear a pop. And I'm like, oh my God, he just shot at us. I said, call 911. When I start coming back down again, I look in my passenger mirror. I saw the spark. I saw it. I'll never forget it. He popped the gun again.
Brian Parkinson is accusing his neighbor, Shelley Burke, of lying to the police and getting him falsely arrested. Shelley claims Brian was shooting his gun while following her home.
How many guns does he have in the house?
We have 2 long guns that he used for hunting, and we each have a handgun.
And you each have a handgun.
Yes.
Good.
They are in
Just-
travel cases that are locked.
You want to know something? I don't believe that.
But we have grandchildren that come over.
When there are grandchildren, you may lock them. Okay, now we're going to you, Miss Burke. Did you see him when you cut him off?
I did not.
Let's start out with the fact that you were exiting the gas station. You didn't see him. You weren't paying attention. You didn't look that way. Whatever it was, you cut him off. So let's start from there.
You got it. This gray truck comes up behind me, swerving and revving his motor and all that. Got as close as he possibly could.
Why don't you show me
I
over
will
there?
do that. Okay. There's 2 lanes going into the village. There's a left and a right lane. I go left, he goes right. Well, I get in front of him, and then he starts getting behind me, swerving his car back and forth, revving his motor. He is so close. He's probably closest to me and him. I mean, he's not a car length away. He's right up on my bumper and revving his truck, and I'm going the speed limit. Then I turn, I make a left. He's still right on me, never lets up. It's kind of a tricky area because it's curvy. So when I go around this one S-curve, I hear a pop. And I'm like, oh my God, he just shot at us. I said, call 911. When I start coming back down again, I look in my passenger mirror. I saw the spark. I saw it. I'll never forget it. And he heard it. We heard, even on the phone call, I think you can possibly hear it. He popped the gun again. And then he's on 911 talking to her, and the lady's saying, be calm, be calm. And I'm leaning down in the car. He's trying to tell me to go. He looks like he's going on past us. But when he does that, he rolls down the window, and you could see him holding a gun in his hand. And he says something I can't understand what he's saying. He's getting the license plate numbers. We thought he kept on going.
So your son got the license number?
Yeah, he got the license plate number. He's on the phone with 911 at this time.
And that's what was given to the police?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I got the 911 call here with us today.
I would like to hear it. Step back. Can I hear the 911 call, please?
Go!
911, what is your emergency?
Somebody was shooting at us.
What?
There's a pop.
Gray Toyota truck. He was shooting at us. His license plate number is...
I need all units. We got a vehicle that is, the complainant's on 911 saying the vehicle is shooting at them. I'm fixing to run the tag. Who am I speaking with?
This is Leslie Scott Rogers.
And you said what kind of vehicle was it?
It was a gray Toyota Tundra. Go.
It's coming back on a gray Toyota Tundra, and that's what the complainant says. It's a 2014 Toyota Tundra.
Okay, start that 911 call all over again. Pay careful attention, because I thought at the beginning of this tape, I too heard a shot. Could we start again, please? Take your hand out of your pocket.
Go!
911, what is your emergency?
Somebody was shooting at us.
There it is. There it is. Got it. You can stop it.
That doesn't sound like a gunshot.
Your case is dismissed, Mr. Parkinson. Your case is dismissed. I have a counterclaim, so stand where you are. The counterclaim is by Miss Burke for the emotional trauma that she, let's just talk about her, went through as a result of your road rage and shooting your gun at her, which you did. You probably didn't shoot it to hit her or to hit the car, because I don't think you're that stupid. Stupid, yes, but I don't think that's stupid. I think you did it to frighten her, just to frighten her. Then I think that you brought the gun that you keep in your truck when you work, maybe on your person, which you probably have a perfectly legal right to do, and you took the gun, you said, just in case something happens, because I did, in fact, shoot my gun in her direction, because I heard it on the 911 call. I better put it in the house. I better put it in the house. So you took the gun and you brought it into the house, and then saying, oh, police are here. Oh, well, search my truck. You won't find a gun. Search me. You won't find a gun on me. Don't search my house. And I guarantee you that you didn't say to the policemen when they came, I do have a gun, but it's locked in my house. Show me something where you told the police that you had a gun, but it was in the house. Nothing, because it didn't happen. Based upon that 911 call, the fact that you were involved in a road rage incident with her, tailing her at least 3/4 of a mile, right on her tail, causing that 911 call, as far as I'm concerned, that's trauma. My heart would have been racing triple time, because I don't know whether behind me is a lunatic or just a stupid guy who can't control his temper, and his wife hasn't been able to beat it out of him for the last how many years you're married. Because there's no question he's done that sort of thing before. Maybe not with a gun. Maybe not with a gun. When was the last time, sir, prior to this time, that you were arrested? When was the last time prior to this time that you were arrested? Year?
19.
Then 19, your age, or 2019?
2019.
2019. For what? Now, don't think, I know that if I were arrested once, a couple of years ago, I would have remembered what it was.
Well, I was arrested for supposed harassment, violation of no contact order. What else?
No, don't look at her.
It's been so many times, I can't remember.
So you've been arrested multiple times?
Yes.
Okay, good. Nice. You picked him.
I don't see how this pertains, Your
How
Honor.
does it pertain?
I do
For your
how it pertains.
propensity for violence, sir.
This has nothing to do with violence.
No, it does have to do with her counterclaim. $5,000 is what your counterclaim is for. Is that correct? Judgment on the counterclaim for $5,000. Your claim's dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
It was a very bad day.
We do not carry weapons in our vehicles.
I won't even go out at night anymore because I'm scared he's coming by my house.
She described in the report a black weapon. We don't have a black handgun.
The truth is, I saw the guns.
Well, I think she created a situation by admitting she didn't see me.
I don't understand why he would even say that.
People want to drive stupid, let them, and just back off.
The plaintiff was certainly not forthcoming. I let him search my truck. I let him search me. What about your house? Did you tell them I do have a gun, but it wasn't out, it wasn't me, because I leave my guns at, my 2 long guns and my 2 short guns at home? Yeah. You could hear the pop in the first part of that when
911 call.
When he was hysterical. And believe me, he wasn't hysterical.
Just because someone's tailing you.
Just because someone's tailing you, you don't call 911. You pull into your house and you lock the door fast. You only do that if someone's pointing a gun. And so there's no question. There's no question that he did that. How dare you put someone in fear purposely?
You're just doing it to create a fear in someone. And to do that, especially to a woman driving in front of you in a small Camry, it says more about him than it does anything else, I think.
At that moment, I'd put him in jail for 5 days and say...
And Heather Palin are suing Heather's ex-husband, Scott Manis, for impound fees, harassment, and defamation.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2142, Brown, Palin versus Mannings.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Palin, this is your former husband.
That is correct, Your Honor.
How long were you married?
18 years?
And this is your daughter.
Correct.
Is this your only child?
With Mr. Manis, it is.
Yes.
Yes.
You have other children?
One other, yes.
How old?
32.
When did you and Mr. Manis separate?
I moved out of the family home in March of 2018.
And this is your boyfriend?
Correct.
I'm going to, in broad strokes, at least try to reconcile both the complaint and the answer in this case. I assume there was a time when your daughter, whose first name is? Trisha was living with you after the separation.
We had a mutual divorce decree of 50-50.
And was that honored?
Until September 4th of 2020, Mr. Manis had brought Trisha back to my home. And while we were out of the home, he had her pack her belongings.
No, okay. Let's stop there. Trisha, how old are you?
I'm 19, Your Honor.
Okay. And right subsequent to the separation and the divorce, until September of 2020, you shared custody.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
And then Trisha decided she would prefer to live with her father.
Correct.
For whatever reason. I don't have to go into it, because this doesn't really have to do with who she chose to live with or where she was living. It has to do with a car. Okay. So while she was living with Mr. Manis purchased a car.
Yes, ma'am.
For her use.
Correct.
In what month did you purchase a car for her use? Month and year?
Oh, boy. I believe that was probably February of 2019, I believe. 18 or 19.
Well, let's figure it out.
It was about 6 months prior to the case with her. So September 4th, we had the car. It would have been probably June or July of the same year.
So you bought her a car a couple of months before she decided to come and live with you?
Correct.
Okay, I got it.
She had just obtained her driver's license.
That's okay. I'm just trying to get a timetable. Right before she decided to come to live with you and not have 50-50 custody anymore, you purchased a car for her.
Correct.
And she drove that car in June or July, August?
Correct.
At your house?
At both houses.
She was allowed to go to take the car to their house?
Correct.
When she saw her mother?
Yes.
And then bring it back?
Correct.
There was a time when you took the car away from her. When was that?
Probably mid-August.
Mid-August of 2020?
Correct. Well, the threat was to take the car away because her grades were slipping. I didn't actually take the car away.
When did you take it away?
I actually never did take it away. Her mother and her mother's boyfriend decided to purchase her another car to eliminate my threat of taking away the car.
Well, I don't know if that's because, but they decided to
Correct.
Purchase another car. And what did you do with the car that you had gotten for your daughter?
I sold that.
When did you sell it?
Probably a month or so after she got the other car.
And the threat was made to your daughter because you were concerned about how she was doing in school or how she was doing socially. What were the reasons?
Well, her grades were slipping. Okay. So I wanted her to concentrate more on her grades rather than...
Grades were slipping?
Correct, at school.
Did she give you any reason for that?
She was under a lot of pressure with the divorce.
So you purchased a car, Mr. Brown and
Yes.
Ms. Palin, with the understanding, according to your complaint, that the car would remain in your name. There would be payments made on the car, and once the car was paid, it would transfer to Tricia. Well, one thing led to another. Things sort of went south. And according to what I've read in these papers, you got sort of annoyed. And the car that you had purchased was in the physical custody of Tricia, who was living with her father. And Mr. Manis caused the car to be towed and impounded, which caused you substantial expense to get the car out of impound. And he did that maliciously.
Correct.
And you want him to pay those expenses because you did, in fact, get the car out of impound, subsequently sold it. How much were the impound fees?
$1,565 and 22 cents, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Manis, in defense of that, acknowledges that he towed the car, your car. He towed the car, which was at your house?
Your Honor, I had
Where was the car?
the car at the time was at my house.
That's what I'm asking you. The car was at your house. You had it towed to impound. And you had it towed on what date, sir?
The car was impounded on September 4th.
Of what year?
2020, I believe.
And your defense for doing that?
Your Honor, he requested...
Just a second. Your defense for doing that is that you were merely following Mr. Brown's instructions.
And the police officers.
You were following Mr. Brown's instructions.
Correct.
Yes, you have a police officer here.
I have several police reports, Your Honor.
About what?
This isn't just about the car. There's several years of harassment.
No, I'm dealing with the car.
I understand.
Right now, I'm dealing with the car.
So I have the several officers that came instructed us to get the car removed from the property.
Well, that may be, sir. You can have the car removed from the property and ask the police to have it deposited in front of their house.
I understand.
Yeah, you chose not to do that.
May I show you his request to have the car towed? He offered a reward for the car to be towed.
Just a second. I want you to tell me where I'm wrong so far. See, what we can all do to make her as unhappy as possible. So I really don't understand two people who probably, in their own way, love their child, but hate each other more than they love their child, which, to me, is absolutely bizarre.
Curtis Brown and Heather Palin claim Heather's ex-husband, Scott Manis, owes for impound fees. Scott is countersuing Heather for filing a false CPS report.
Okay. You had the car towed to an impound. You did not call him or your ex-wife the day that you had the car towed to impound. It was some period of time later, if the fees for impound were $1,500. Your excuse for that is you were merely following his request. His request. That's what you wrote in your answer. Is that wrong?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, so now we know that you didn't notify them when you had the car towed.
Your Honor.
Because you could have had the car towed to the local police precinct and called them and said, come pick up the car. It can't be in front of my house anymore.
Your Honor,
He was actually at my house that night.
Just a second. I didn't ask you anything.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
The police, when they came to our house, the car was present. They acknowledged the presence of the car.
You can't tell me what the police did, sir.
I have the reports, Your Honor.
I'd like to see, I will see the report. What I'm asking you is, there are two things. If you wanted the car out of your custody and you wanted to quietly and stop the friction, send it back to the people who purchased it, you could have done that. You chose not to do that.
Your Honor, the reason I chose not to do that is because of I have several false allegations from CPS, the police. I did not choose to have any contact
You
with
don't
them
have to have any contact with them, sir.
in order to...
You don't have to have any contact with them. Just like you paid a tow truck company to take the car to impound, you pay the tow truck company, you live in a private house or an apartment.
Private house.
You have the tow truck company drop the car off in front of their house. Now, after you had the car towed to an impound company, did you contact them in any way?
No, I didn't.
No.
I was instructed
Did you
not
ask
to
the
by
police to contact them and tell them?
The police knew, yes.
I didn't ask you what the police knew. You can't tell me what the police knew. So you had the car towed on September the 4th, And when were you notified the car was an impound?
I received certified letter on September 26th, which was a Friday. It said to contact them Monday through Friday between 8 and 4.
Just a second. You received that on September 26th.
Yes.
Is that the first notice that you had that the car was impounded?
Correct.
Yeah, that's...
Okay. So now the onus is upon you, Mr. Manis. I want you to prove your defense to me, and your defense was you were following Mr. Brown's instructions.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That's all I want to see.
Here you go, Your Honor.
So this says $100 reward to anyone that impounds my car. Call a tow truck and tell them to contact me.
Yes, Your
You
Honor.
know this number.
Yes.
Yes. Well, did you do that?
The tow company sent them a letter on 9/10 of 2020, and I have the proof of that also, Your Honor.
Yeah, I would like to see what you're looking at. That's not on September 4th.
No.
That's not on September 4th.
9/10, they sent that out,
Okay.
the notice.
Let's see. Well, this says that attempts were made on 9/21, 9/26, and 10/5. That's what it looks like, attempts made.
That's when they had attempted to deliver, but they did not pick it up.
So they had no notice.
They had notice.
No,
did
they
not
had
pick
no
up
notice.
They
They
didn't pick
had
it up.
no notice.
If they would have gone to their post office box, they would have had notice.
If I had taller parents, I would have been 5'7". They had no notice. Okay, $1,565. That's what you owe them. It was a malicious act.
Your Honor, this isn't just about the car.
This
There
is
are
all.
horrendous
Listen to me.
False
This is all.
allegations through CPS. If you would please
let
read.
me. You have a counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
And your counterclaim, I'm going to hear. Right now, you owe Mr. Brown $1,565 because what you did was malicious. And I don't understand something. You have one child together. I assume that you don't want to make her miserable. That when she was born, you said, oh, let's see what we can do over her lifetime to make her as unhappy as possible. Let's see what we can all do to make her as unhappy as possible. So I really don't understand two people who probably, in their own way, love their child, but hate each other more than they love their child, which to me is absolutely bizarre. So right now, because you did a malicious thing by having their car towed and not giving them a heads up that you had the car towed to a place that was going to cost them money, you owe them $1,565. Now I'm going to hear your claim that they made false charges to CPS about you.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, can I say something?
About what?
The car.
Before you say anything, did I say anything that was inaccurate? Did your father have the car towed? The answer is he's acknowledged that. He had the car towed and put it in a place where neither your mother or her boyfriend knew where it was, resulting in their having to pay fines to get the car out. Is there anything that I said was wrong?
That is partially incorrect because I had contacted my mother in the time and asked either...
Okay, that I'll hear. You contacted your mother.
I did contact my mother previously, not only on normal messages, but also on messenger messages, including how I wanted either the title or my money back and that they could have the car before that. Once the Facebook post was...
All I want you to show me is that you notified either your mother or Mr. Brown that the car was impounded when you notified them.
She also did ask my best friend where it was.
All I want, that's all I want. Don't tell me what you said to your best friend who's not here. All I want to do is see where you notified your mother that the car was impounded.
So there is this one about money in my account, which was about the car.
I don't want to see anything about the car. I only want to see where you notified your mother or Mr. Brown that the car was impounded.
Okay. I don't have the text about that, but I did notify her that it was impounded.
Well, I don't know that, and it seems to me you weren't talking to your mother on a regular basis because there was a lot of acrimony. If you have it, you have it. If you don't have it, you don't have it. So, Tricia, you could sit down. I'm telling you that it is inappropriate, the act of sharing a bed with a teenage female child as a father would give me cause to pause.
Defendant Scott Manis has accused his ex-wife, Heather Palin, of filing a false report with Child Protective Services.
Now, it was a malicious act to have the car impounded. There's no question in my mind that if they knew it was impounded, they would have gotten it out before. $1,565. Now, you want to show me what information you have
Yes, ma'am.
with regard to filing a false CPS report.
Correct. I have
Okay.
the CPS reports and the police investigators report.
Okay, may I see it, please? This report, it was in September of 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's been several years of these reports and
Just a
this
second.
disgusting allegations.
So you filed or you made allegations to Child Protective Services?
CPS actually contacted me, Your Honor, regarding several calls that they had received for the welfare of my daughter, Trisha.
In what year?
I was contacted, I believe it was 2019, and again in 2020.
They contacted you?
Correct.
For what?
To do an interview because of a claim that was made about regarding Trisha's safety.
That were made by an anonymous source?
I don't know who made them, Your Honor. In Minnesota, you can't make multiple reports by one person. I cannot call day after day to make reports.
I'm just asking you, did you at some point claim that you had reason to believe that your daughter was being in some way physically abused by her father? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes, to a point.
Yeah, okay. And part of that involved a sexual abuse.
That one was not claimed by me. I did state to CPS that he does have her sleep in his bed with him.
Well, I have to tell you something.
Which is a little weird.
I have to tell you something. That doesn't seem a little weird. It seems a lot weird that your daughter acknowledged, sir.
Your Honor?
Your daughter. What I'm telling you is, it is inappropriate for a man to sleep in the same bed as his 15-year-old daughter.
Your Honor,
that's
we went
my
to a
view.
concert.
And if that's true, there may be a reasonable explanation for it. She said she was scared, whatever, but when interviewed, that's what it says in here. But I'm telling you, as a mother and a grandmother, in my view, and I'm not a professional psychiatrist or psychologist, but it is inappropriate for a teenager to sleep in the same bed with her father. Period. Maybe some countries it's appropriate, but
Your Honor, we went to a concert.
What?
And shared a hotel room at a
No, that's not what your daughter said. No. That's not what your daughter said, sir.
May I finish?
Yes.
When she was going through all the stuff with the divorce and everything, she came into my room. I was asleep. She laid next to me. I'm asleep.
Listen to me. I'm not suggesting
Your Honor,
that
there's
anything
nothing
inappropriate.
inappropriate.
Sir,
Absolutely right.
understand this. I'm not suggesting that any inappropriate actions happen between you and your daughter. I'm telling you that it is inappropriate, the act of sharing a bed with a teenage female child. As a father, would give me cause to pause. I would say, you know what? That's not a good idea. It's especially not a good idea when parents seem to be feuding. It's grist for the mill. You may want to go and, if she's scared, say, sweetheart, I'll go and sit in a chair in your room.
Many times.
In your room.
Many times.
But please, this is inappropriate. Do you understand? It's inappropriate.
Did you read the detective's statements in there?
No, I'm not interested in the detective statements. sir.
Obviously.
If what your daughter says is true as a result of the investigation, then there was reason for somebody to suggest to CPS to do an investigation. So, listen, bottom line, I can't tell the two of you to stop feuding. I can't. You either hate each other more than you love your daughter. That's the answer. And this court can't fix that. All I can do is fix $1,565, which is what you owe them for impound fees. This case is over. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I think the judge is wrong.
I am thankful for the judge.
She didn't read all the evidence. Multiple pages weren't read.
He's very good at manipulating others
And multiple accusations.
and being the person that, oh, pity me, feel sorry for me.
False allegations to the CPS.
My ex-husband decided that he would show me.
No, he's trying to get my daughter her money back or the title to her car.
He actually had the car as of August 24th. Then he brought her to the house and moved her out on September 4th. And that's when it just started going downhill.
She has a lot of hatred.
I believe he's very angry that I divorced him.
That she falls off a bridge.
And he lost the control over me that he had while we were married.
You know, Sarah, I've been doing these family cases for probably 40 plus years. And it always makes me sad that the mother, the father, even the new boyfriend, there is a window in life when you feel relatively healthy, nothing hurts you, you don't have a bad back, you don't have to worry about indigestion, you can walk around without a walker, you look pretty reasonable, and that you will take years away from that good time to create negativity around not only yourself, but the people that you love.
I think that's great advice.
I always said to people, both men and women, that, you know, it's one journey. You can take that journey and put as much positive energy into it.
Yeah, I just felt bad for the daughter. I mean, I know she's grown now, 19, but still 19, it still hurts your feelings to hear and see that your parents hate each other more than they care and love about you.
Well, maybe that statement
will make a difference. You never
will
know.
make a difference, because I'm sure it's not true.
Yeah.
I have a feeling.
But when it's said to you in a court in front of your child, hopefully they take some action on it then.
Well, hopefully they'll say, boing, you know. I mean, she has a new boyfriend, and he's got his daughter who's living with him. They should be happy.
Yeah.
And they're divorced.
Close the book and move on.
Close the book.
Yeah.
Her mother and her boyfriend should get a puppy together. Well, they should
Not
not
until
until
they
they
get
got married. Not until they. But do something. This is a grown young woman.
Have a healthy
Should
adult relationship with your adult
grown
child.
Right. Not over a car. But you know, teenagers do crazy things for a car. I think that some teenagers would live with Satan.
Terry Smith is suing her ex-husband, Tony Smith, for 3 ATVs and a lawnmower.
Court current order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2148, Smith versus Smith.
Thank you. You're welcome. Miss Smith, this used to be your husband. You haven't been married in a long time, but after your divorce, you sort of remained friendly and you had some business transactions together. What kind of business?
I would refer real estate business to him and refer flipping homes and the construction work.
Did you take part in that as well?
I did.
In what year were you divorced?
2015.
So this briefly is what I gather from the complaint and the answer and the counterclaim. At some point, according to you, you purchased 3 ATVs. Those 3 ATVs were originally supposed to be used in business.
We purchased more than 3.
How many did you purchase?
Those were the 3 that were left. It was 14 of them that we had.
And when you purchased those together as part of a business?
No, those were mine. I purchased it. The business.
14.
Business was mine. Yes. 14. Yes.
You purchased them, you paid for them?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you can prove that to me?
I can.
Okay. Do you agree with the fact your former wife purchased the 14 ATVs?
Yes, I agree, but it was underneath an LLC that was formed.
I don't care whether it was under an LLC or a little umbrella or a big shoe. She bought the ATVs.
Yes.
So one of the things that's in question is the ATVs now are in your custody?
The remaining ones are in my home, yes.
3?
Yes, ma'am.
And you want them back?
I do.
She bought them. Why doesn't she get them back?
Because, Your Honor, there is an outstanding invoice for work that I have done for her.
What?
It's construction work and other odds and ends that was helping her.
That's not part of your counterclaim as a set-off, sir. That's not what you say at all.
Okay, and also there is a counterclaim.
You have a counterclaim. That has to do with your truck. So there really is no reason that you are holding those ATVs. Are they new?
No, they were demonstrator models. There's 1 new one and 2 demonstrators.
Okay, so within 5 days, you make arrangements to get those, okay? I assume that you have children together?
No.
So I assume that you are 2 civilized people. I don't know whether you need a police officer to accompany you to get those, but within 5 days, make arrangements to pick them up from his house. They're yours.
I will. Thank you.
Are we then finished with your claim?
Now, there's a lawnmower, an electric zero-turn lawnmower.
Okay.
It's also part of that claim.
Okay. I sort of remember that. Is that an old lawnmower?
No, it was purchased in May of 2021.
And who was it purchased for?
He asked me, since he could not get it on credit, if I would buy it for him, and the next real estate transaction that I referred him, he said when he got paid, he would pay me the $4,800 back.
Okay.
And so when I asked for it, he said he had put it in a separate savings account to save it for me. And I said, well, I don't need you to save me my money.
Got it. So you have the lawnmower?
Yes, ma'am.
You picked that up with the ATVs.
Thank you.
Got it?
Thank you.
Perfect. Now we have to come to your counterclaim. Your counterclaim is sort of interesting and can be, I think, probably equally swiftly disposed of. After your divorce, you needed a truck. You didn't have any money or credit, according to what I've read, and you purchased a truck in your name for him. And the agreement was that you would make the payments on the truck because you couldn't get credit. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
The truck was purchased in what month and year?
August of 2020.
How much did the truck cost?
$58,000, somewhere in there.
And how much of a down payment did you put down?
$500.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's good. You must have had good credit.
I do.
Good. And what were the monthly payments, sir?
900 and I can't remember exactly. It was under 1,000. It was 940 something dollars, I think.
And you paid for the truck the month of August of 2020 and all through 2021. Until when? When was your last payment on the truck that you made, that you can prove to me that you made?
I have all the payments.
Just tell me, when was the last payment you made on the truck?
It was August of this year.
August of 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what your bank records will indicate, that you made a payment of $900 and some odd dollars, August of 2022. And in what month did your former wife repossess the truck, which was in her name?
It was September 20th.
Now you're going to tell me why you repossessed the truck. Let's talk about the violations. Driving without tags, only 2 months. When we forget or we're traveling and we don't get registrations for our cars, we don't drive those cars. Because if you're driving with expired tags, that's against the law.
Terry Smith claims her ex-husband, Tony Smith, owes for 3 ATVs and a lawnmower. Tony is countersuing for the value of a truck.
Okay, you made a payment of $900 and some odd dollars.
Yes, ma'am.
August of 2022. And in what month did your former wife repossess the truck, which was in her name?
It was September 20th.
Okay, now you're going to tell me why you repossessed the truck.
Yes, that truck's first payment was due on October 30th of 2020. I made the payment on November 28th.
No, I'm not interested in history.
Okay.
I'm interested in, he says that he was making payments on the truck. You say he stopped making payments on the truck, which is why you repossessed it. You didn't want your credit to be at risk.
It was 2 of the first payments that I made, and I said, I'm not doing this again like I did on the last truck where I make every payment. But the insurance, I asked for the insurance to be paid since April of 2020, and I requested this on June the 28th of 2022, and I said, here's the insurance premiums I've paid on the GMC truck since we've had it, and it was $1,596. His reply was, I'm happy to pay the insurance on my truck, but don't just dump 2.5 years on me at a time. I will need to break this up into 3 increments. This was June. I don't have any money. The insurance and taxes, the taxes this year is the first time he's ever paid taxes on the vehicle, and it was 1 year late. He drove on an expired tag for a total year. The reason
Is that just a second, is that correct?
I'm sorry.
Did you drive on an expired tag
No,
for a
ma'am.
year?
It was only a few months late.
So you drove
It wasn't an entire year.
How many months?
2 months.
Oh, that's too long.
I agree.
And was your agreement that you would maintain the insurance for the truck as well?
That was something that we discussed, and because of the real reason she actually agreed to purchase the truck We had a previous truck that was also I was driving, and because of the LLC that the truck was under, it was a very high commercial insurance rate. So she felt that it would benefit her to get another truck and come out from under the commercial rate that she was paying for insurance, and she was going to put it in a group insurance policy.
Where
with
is
her
the
vehicle.
truck? Where is the truck? You've had possession of the truck.
That's correct.
So you get all the benefit of the truck, and she gets all the detriment.
I'm just referring to what we
I'm
discussed.
just what I'm not getting from you, sir, is any sense of the whole idea was this is going to be my truck. As soon as I finish making all the payments on the truck is going to be mine, right?
That's correct.
And if you didn't make payments on the truck, absolutely, she has a right to repossess it if that was your agreement, and you acknowledge that that's your agreement, right?
That is the agreement, but I have made every payment, and I have
that's what
paid
you
all
said.
the taxes.
Well, the word paid all the taxes eventually, didn't pay them when due.
That happened once.
Didn't pay them when due, pay them eventually. What about the insurance?
The insurance, I agreed to catch up and pay her back for once she told me what it was.
Okay.
I never received any information about the insurance amount until she sent it all in one.
Okay, she sent it to you in one email. That was in June, and you said I couldn't pay it, and she repossessed the car in September. Between June and September, did you make any insurance payment?
No, I did not.
Why?
It was a lot of things going on at that time that there was money owed to me as well from her. So there was a lot of discussion going back and forth about that.
Well, but one thing is clean. You know about the insurance, and if there's money that she owes you from construction or real estate or whatever it is, you have to put that in compartments. Where is the truck now?
I took the truck back and it is sold.
Did you ever tell him?
He wouldn't talk to me. He hasn't talked to me since May.
So you had the truck for approximately 2 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much in total did you pay for the truck?
The exact amount added up was $18,736.
So you paid approximately $9,000 a year, right?
Correct.
Your Honor, we had an agreement of $1,200 a month on the truck to cover the insurance and taxes up front before it was purchased.
That's not true.
Well, if you paid approximately $9,000, Mr. Smith, and you used it for business, correct? That's what you used the truck for. So you paid approximately $750 a month if you paid $9,000 each year for the 2 years, $1,870. You say the payments were $900 a month. That means that there was a shortfall.
Can I bring us? It was more than 2 years. It was August of 2020 until
September.
August of this year.
Well, that's 2 years.
There's also a down payment
Of $500. I'm not.
Okay.
So that's $750, sir. I always have a problem with people who are no longer married and no longer happy with each other, where one party has the obligation and has all the liability on a vehicle, including their credit and their insurance, when the other person is being either irresponsible or blinking at certain violations. Let's talk about the violations. Driving without tags, only 2 months. When we forget or we're traveling and we don't get registrations for our cars, we don't drive those cars. Because if you're driving with expired tags, that's against the law.
I would like to point out, if I may, that the bill for that obviously went to her address. It was not given to me. Now, that's not my. I understand that I need to be aware of it, but I never received that bill.
I gave it to him the very month it came in.
Just a second.
That's not true.
Just a second. You're a big boy. You know when your car has to be registered, you have a little yellow tag on the back like everybody else. And insurance, you know, you're supposed to pay insurance. That was your agreement. You were supposed to pay insurance. And you didn't pay insurance. She's going to show me how much was left on the loan and how much she sold the truck for. If she sold the truck for more than was left on the loan, the difference between, you're looking at me, the difference between that belongs to you.
Terry Smith is accusing ex-husband Tony Smith of wrongfully keeping 3 ATVs and a lawnmower. Tony claims Terry owes him for the cost of a truck.
Okay, well, are you working now, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. She sold the truck. How much did you sell it for?
$48,000.
And how much was left on the loan?
48. It was even.
Well, show me.
It was even. Oh.
I'd like to see that.
Ooh.
So $48,000 was, he paid $18,000.
Hang on 1 second, I got it.
Can I submit this to you?
What is that?
Or this, my bank statement showing the payment?
No, you told me. I
Okay.
accepted it.
Okay.
She doesn't dispute it, and I accept it.
I do have a copy of the title here somewhere.
What I'm looking for, Mr. Smith, just so that you know, what I'm having to look for from me, she's going to show me how much was left on the loan and how much she sold the truck for. If she sold the truck for more than was left on the loan, the difference between, you're looking at me, the difference between that belongs to you.
Oh, I see.
Because you paid it, right?
I see. Yes, ma'am.
Got it? That
Yep.
fair? Did she tell you that she sold the truck?
No, ma'am.
He went and bought a truck 2 days later, so he was able to buy a truck.
Okay.
I mean,
Would you find those papers for me while you're
I'm
looking
looking.
for
I'm
those
sorry, I
papers for
can't-
me?
I
Mr.
can't.
Smith, did you buy another truck?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Did you put a down payment on it?
Yes, ma'am.
And you own it now?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're driving it now?
That's correct.
What would you do with a second truck?
Well, I was forced to buy one because I
Well,
had
I
no
understand
warning.
I understand you were forced to buy one, sir. But if you had the truck and you weren't going to use 2 trucks, you would sell this truck for whatever amount you sold it for. And if there was any overage, you'd get to.
I offered to purchase the truck from her. In fact, she understood that I was planning to purchase the truck from her.
Don't tell me what she understood. Right now, you don't need a truck, and I'm going to find out whether or not she has to give you any money as a result of what she sold the truck
this
for.
bill of sale does not have the amount on it. I didn't realize that. I'll have to get that from.
Well,
from
this is
where
the
I
time
sold
to get it.
I'm sorry, I did not realize it didn't have it on there.
Okay. Oh, you sold it to a company?
I did.
Oh, okay. Not to a private party?
No.
Is that the same company that you purchased it from?
No, I purchased it from a different dealership.
Okay. Do you have the exact amount that the loan, the extant loan was?
The original loan was 60.
No.
I'm sorry. The exit loan?
Yeah, the exit.
It was between 48 and 49,000, give or take. Hang on.
And the truck was, and the truck
I have it.
was purchased for 56, so that amounts for his payments plus interest.
I have it. That's the difference of what they gave me. I originally put the down payment on that truck as well. He did not.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, that was the difference they gave me in the sale.
Okay, so this is the difference.
Yes.
Between what was on the loan.
Exactly.
Between what was on the loan.
Exactly.
And this. Okay, so the excess, sir, was $2,225. She put in the deposit for the truck when it was originally purchased of $500?
She did not.
Yes.
Who did?
I did, and I have a copy. I have that in this record right here.
Show me.
We added tires. We added all kinds of extra
I don't
stuff
care.
and everything
I don't
to it. and
I don't
I paid for that.
I don't
as well.
care. I don't care.
Yeah.
This is actually.
Just show me.
It's on my phone. Can I show it? Can I?
From 2020?
Yes, what had happened, the amount actually came off of this statement copy.
Let me see.
Can I submit this too, where I made the 2 payments on the truck when he first started? I made the very second payment and the 4th payment on that truck because he wouldn't make it. I also notified him on June the 20th that he had 30 days to get the truck in his name, and I never heard anything.
You can't notify him within 30 days to get it in his name. That's not the agreement. Let me see.
Yeah. There's this.
Yep. Purchased authorized August 22nd, and this is 2020 for $500. Okay, so the difference of $500 that came out of your account brings the total excess that she received $1,725. She's coming to pick up her lawnmower within 5 days and her 3 ATVs. At the same time, she's going to give you $1,725, which is the difference between what was owed on the truck and the profit that was made that she didn't pay for. We're finished here. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I think it was fair.
Well, it was a little less than I thought I was going to get back from it, and there's a lot more to the story that obviously I couldn't get in.
Well, I mean, I had the truth, so.
She understands why that is, because there's an outstanding invoice from me for work that I've done that she's refusing to pay for.
I have supported him since 2003.
Construction work, I did a lot of planning and helping her with her current home that she's living in.
It is just one thing after another, and I could never owe him one dime.
I mean, everything was fine between us.
Has trauma bonded me and manipulated me and gaslit me for all these years and kept me around just in case other relationships didn't work out.
Until she found out I was seeing someone else.
No. I had been asking for everything of mine that he kept and held hostage for a long time before that, but he's probably had many more before that. I just didn't know about them.
But I'm happy.
I was thinking he was making me think that we were reconciling while he was using me.
I don't see us talking anymore.
The bank is finally closed, and the bad bargain has just been a nightmare. It's been hundreds of bad bargains.
No more business ventures.
You see, it's always a mistake, unless you're married, to co-sign a loan for anybody, a boyfriend, a somebody.
An ex-husband.
And especially an ex-husband.
Yeah. Because I think what you said was true. There's always one person that gets no benefit and gets slighted and has their name on the line for their credit for future purchases that they want to make, and the guy who gets to drive the truck.
And the guy gets to drive the truck. Of course, he says that the reason she got all hot and bothered is because he has a girlfriend now. I would have felt a little more sympathy towards him had he not gone out 2 weeks later and bought her.
He's suing her customer, Jack McCurcheon, for tuition and administrative fees.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2126, Slago versus McCurcheon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You run a school.
Yes, ma'am. It's a program.
Is it a school or a program?
It's a program.
What's the difference?
The program is not a school where the children come every day. They come twice a week. Parents.
They come twice a week online?
No, we are
in person.
In person, yes.
Okay, so twice a week they are there at a brick and mortar place?
Yes.
And how long have you had this program?
We actually started this program during the lockdown in 2020 spring. So this is at the end of our first semester of our third year.
Okay, and tell me, who runs the program?
I do.
You have an educational background?
I do. I have a master's in education.
Does anybody run the program with you?
I have a staff, but I'm the sole director.
Is this an annual program?
We do operate on a semesterly basis as far as payments, but the classes just roll over from first semester to second semester.
And is there a contract?
Yes.
Okay, and you're going to show me the contract that the defendant signed on behalf of his son?
Yes.
Because that's what this case is about.
Yes.
The only interesting part of the case is your son was enrolled in the program. He was terminated from the program for, let's say, misconduct.
That's true.
And it was misconduct that was replicated in violation of the rules at least 3 times.
Kind of.
Not kind of, at least 3 times that you acknowledge.
Okay.
That's not an okay. That's not an okay.
not.
That's either a yes or a no. I mean, I read about 3 instances of cheating. You acknowledge that in your answer.
Well, it's different. It's different.
You mean he cheated differently?
No, he didn't cheat
Yes, well, that's what-
differently. I mean, I can explain.
It was explained in the papers.
Okay.
And you weren't there, so you can't explain. But you acknowledge the fact that he cheated. He was given a warning. You were advised. He cheated again. You were given a warning, and he was allowed to continue. On the 3rd such event, the school terminated him. Is that what I read?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what you acknowledge in your papers?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, well, that's a yes. And he was within a semester. You would pay the tuition and then try to reverse the payment because you paid on a credit card.
Yes, I paid with credit card, yes.
Okay, and then when you got the bill, you challenged that payment, which you had in fact received, and whatever you told the credit card company as a result of what you told them, the payment was reversed and taken off your credit card.
That is correct.
Right. And so they are here now seeking that tuition payment from a court. That's why we're here, to see whether contractually, because this is a breach of contract action, you were obligated to pay the tuition even though your son was not in the program because he was dismissed for cause, which you acknowledge. Are we clear on where we are?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So now I'm going to look at the contract.
I'd like to add that.
Just let me look at the contract first.
Well, if you see contract, they're signed by my party. I want to see it too, because I don't see my name. I sign a contract. That's a statement, probably, or it's a
payment agreement.
Yeah, that's not a contract.
Yeah, payment agreement is a contract, sir.
But signed by me?
Well, it says signed Irina and Jack.
Okay.
Is Irina your wife?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. So this says, I understand that payments are due even if classes or memberships are dropped, subject to the refund policy. Well, what's the refund policy, and where is that in writing?
It is on our website, and they've signed it. It was a form that they had to sign.
Well, I'd like to see the form that they signed, because I have to see what the terms are of that.
These are the terms of the refund.
Thank you.
That's a screenshot of our website.
No, the website is unimportant to me. You say you have an agreement signed by them. I'd like to see it.
Well, the agreement that we have signed was the installment agreement, so I'm sorry.
Well, I only have one payment agreement. What I said I want to see is a refund policy. You said you have that they signed. I don't see
They don't sign the policy. They sign the agreement. The policy is a written policy.
Well, I would like to see the written policy.
That's what we have on our website, and it's clearly...
No.
No? Okay.
No, what you have to do is you have to incorporate something by agreement in this contract. If you say the refund policy as outlined in the website, because other than that, it's meaningless.
Okay.
You know, you're saying we have a refund policy, and we assume that you looked on the website to see what the policy is.
We also do go over it in parent meetings with the parents.
That you can't do because you have a written agreement.
Right.
And anything that's outside of that agreement, unless it's referenced in the agreement, is inadmissible because the intention of it is to somehow change or modify the terms of your written contract. Okay, so in what month did the defendant's son start the program?
In August of 2021.
And it runs in 2 semesters. And when was he terminated?
He was terminated in February of 2022.
You were in a semester program?
Yes.
So am I correct that the first 2 episodes of cheating were in the first semester?
Yes.
When?
The first one was early in November. It happened to be the 3rd week of our 2nd semester. The next one was a couple of weeks later in the same month of November.
Okay, so the semester had started?
Mm-hmm.
Second semester. Yes. And on what day in February was he terminated?
He was terminated on February 24th, I believe. Yes.
And when you terminated, the defendant, I assume, paid the entire semester's tuition for the 2nd semester.
The 2nd semester, he signed the installment agreement, which is what you have there.
This is a payment agreement.
Right. That's it. He agreed to pay in installments.
No. It says, I agree to pay all charges by due dates according to the payment plan. I don't have a signed payment plan from anybody. Do you have one?
I'm sorry. That's what we use for our signed payment plan.
Well, you should use something different. This is not a payment plan. This says he will pay according to a payment plan. I'm looking for the payment plan. You pay by the month, you pay by the semester. How do you pay?
It's a semesterly fee that's broken into 4 payments, so they don't have to pay it all up front.
Okay.
They can choose to. But
and so when was the defendant's last payment?
They paid through the semester.
Through what semester?
2nd semester.
Okay, so they paid in full.
Through the installment. So what happens is they agree to be automatically billed. And so every month, a certain amount comes out.
Just a second. So what you're saying is when they sign up, they give you authority to pull out from their bank.
Yes.
Whatever the tuition is for that month.
Right.
Okay. And according to your records, when was the last payment that you received for the defendant's son prior to terminating him?
Prior to terminating him, we received a payment in February.
And you terminated him on February 24th?
Yes.
How much was that payment?
It was, have it right here. You know what? I don't know.
$350 every
It's
month.
$300, that's right. $350.
I know I got charged the extra month, so I know the number.
Okay. So it was $350 that you paid the beginning of February, and he was there in February.
That is correct.
Okay. In what month did you dispute the charge?
Well,
not well. I said, in what month?
May. I only realized in May she's been charging.
Just a second.
He was plagiarized by teachers.
It was plagiarized by teachers.
He was given notice because he lied on a test by teacher, yeah? But it's not exactly what happened.
They're not in the business of expelling children. They're in the business of keeping children in school. You really have to get this through your head.
Robin Slagle claims her customer, Jack McCurcheon, owes for tuition and administrative fees.
So you paid in February, and your son was there in February.
That is correct.
Did you pay in March?
It was taken out of my account without me knowing, but yes.
Is that $350?
That is correct.
And did you pay in April?
I did pay in April.
Okay. Now, the May payment, is the May payment the payment that you canceled?
No, on the May, I also paid for a May payment. Looking at my statements, I said, why are we paying for the child? He doesn't go to school anymore. And that's when I called them. And then I called my credit card company, explained to what happened. They said, we are going to charge the money back to your account. And that's when I kind of looked through paperwork. And I'm an immigrant in this country. I don't read really well. I can speak. And my son, he's a young guy, and he knows exactly what it is, and that's what I brought him. I said, can you see, do we owe these people money? And if you guys allow it, I can have Alex to explain what here shows.
Just see it. He doesn't have to explain anything to me.
Okay.
I'm not new to the country, and I was legally trained, so I don't need your son. I assume you're not legally trained?
I am not.
To interpret something, a piece of paper. So now I will look at the piece of paper that you're relying on, but I want to tell you this, sir. I pay the tuition for a lot of people, a lot, because I have 13 grandchildren in school.
Okay.
I'll take that, Kevin. Thank you, I'm sorry. I know that if one of my kids or grandkids goes to school and gets expelled, and I've paid the tuition because I'm not on a payment plan. Parents send the bill directly. and so I pay the tuition, but I know if one of the kids in November, once I pay the tuition, gets caught cheating on a test or plagiarizing a paper, and he or she is dismissed from the school, they're not going to give me my tuition back, even though he's not in school. I'm not going to get the tuition back for that semester.
That's true.
That's what I'm telling you. I know that. So now I'm going to see what you want me to read that suggests that in this case, even though your son was terminated for cause from the school for cheating.
Dismissal versus termination is different.
No, it's not different at all. It's the exact same thing. Dismissed, terminated, expelled, all the same thing. If you look them up under synonyms for each other in the dictionary, you will find they're all the same. He was excised from the school because he cheated despite multiple warnings. So he was expelled from cause. I just want you to understand that. Did you go to college?
Currently enrolled.
Currently. Stand up. You look like a nice young man. Where do you go to school?
Cal Poly Pomona.
And who pays the tuition?
I do.
Now, what's your first name?
Alex.
Now, Alex, you do know that if you got expelled from college for cheating in the middle of a semester, you wouldn't get your tuition back for that semester. You do know that?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Well, that's what we're dealing with
Could
here.
I add something?
Sure.
Well, according to their honesty policy, they made a clear difference between dismissal and expulsion.
I'm going to look at it. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so what you gave me now acknowledges that you received the refund policy. Thank you very much, because she wasn't able to prove that she gave it to you, but now you gave it to me, so I know you were given the refund policy when you enrolled your son in school.
So we weren't given, but it's something they have it on their website for you to...
Just a second. Well,
I
then you
didn't
look.
sign.
You don't have to sign. Then you looked at the website. You gave me this. Do you understand?
After
That's what
this
I mean,
happened,
legal.
I went and tried to understand.
Well,
what
you should have
happened.
done it before.
Well,
You were
I own a
perfectly
construction
capable of
company.
doing it
When
before.
I sign a contract, I sign and I explain everything.
You
and
just
people get
told me
copies.
5 minutes ago that you didn't sign any contract. Well, now you acknowledge that you signed the contract. I'm just reading this that you gave me.
A contract has to be a complete contract. If
Just
there
a
is
second.
something...
For somebody who's, not here, not from this country, and doesn't understand things, you seem to understand things very well.
I know the contract has to be completed.
Well, that's very good. A lot of people don't know that.
So if I give a contract for a statement, then I say, go in my website to read about our refund policy. That's not part of the contract. That's their rules, no? I didn't sign refund policy.
You don't have to sign a refund policy. You just have to be aware of it.
If I don't know how to get into website or don't know.
You gave me the evidence,
But this
sir.
was done after everything done. I
I'm
looked
not
into
sure.
it. Yeah?
You were certainly aware of how to do it, either before or after.
When I sign contract with someone, I disclose everything, and they initial, and they get copies. I get copies, and that's a legal bonding contract.
Good. What law school did you go to?
None.
Well, there are two things here, but the final piece here says the consequence for academic dishonesty or plagiarism is a score of 0 on the assignment and possibly dismissal from the class.
Okay.
So your son did that in the first semester at least twice. Repeated dishonesty can result in suspension or expulsion. Now you can stand up because your father says he doesn't understand everything. I think he understands everything just fine. But in case he wants to have you there. Now, when you were discussing this with your father, did you have any conversation with him that suggested to him that, if I went to college and I cheated 3 times or 4 times or plagiarized a paper and I was kicked out of school, I wouldn't get my tuition back? Did you tell him that?
No, we had similar talks, but no, nothing on the school. We talked about, for instance, the signing contract for, let's say, a 1-year lease agreement to live somewhere, but if you breach the contract and they decide to kick you out, it's the same thing as expulsion. You're not required to finish the 1-year contract with them. You don't have to continue paying.
If they decide.
What are you kidding?
I am not. If you get evicted from a property, do you have to continue paying the entire year's lease?
Yeah. If you breach a lease, he or she can evict you. And yes, you will be responsible for the remainder of the lease.
Oh, I was unaware of that.
Yes, you will be responsible for the remainder of the lease. You have to understand, and your father has to understand, the reason that he was expelled is his fault. And the reason he was expelled had nothing to do with them. It had to do with your father, because you were put on notice that he was plagiarizing and cheating on tests. If what you're suggesting is the 3 times that your son was caught cheating were the only times he cheated, you're deluding yourself. He got caught 3 times. Because if these were the only 3 times that he cheated, he is the unluckiest person on the planet.
Robin Slagle has accused her customer, Jack McCurshan, of refusing to pay tuition. Jack claims he is not required to pay because his son was dismissed from her school.
You were put on notice, and instead of being more vigilant, the conduct continued. He lives in your house. How old is he?
14.
14. Well,
I want to ask about this plagiarizing thing, which it is, because remember, beginning you asked me 3 times. He was plagiarized by teachers, which I was not.
He was plagiarized by teachers.
Like he was given notice because he lied on a test by teacher, yeah? But it's not exactly what happened.
Well, then you should have, just a second, then you should have contested it, sir.
Well,
you should have contested it. Did you say
they don't want him to be out of the school? They don't want him to be there.
No.
What do you do? I mean, you go
what do you
fight
do?
with them?
What do you do? You pay the tuition for that semester because that's your contractual obligation, and you tell your son you better straighten up. And if I have to take you to a psychiatrist, if I have to take you to a therapist, if I have to find a more rigid school environment, I'm going to do that.
Well, he really didn't cheat.
You really have to get this through your head.
When it says cheating, last last time he was expelled from school? Do we have a...
No, don't look at her.
That day he had an excellent score on his math, and his last test was his history, and he forgot to learn the history, and he did have a paper with him, but he did not cheat it. Actually, there is no proof he cheated that day.
All right. They're not in the business of expelling children. They're in the business of keeping children in school. How many other students were expelled from the school the semester that this defendant's son was expelled?
0.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're in business of keeping children in school. How
I guess
many
my son
children?
was that bad for her to expel her.
She said they didn't expel any other children. I'm going to ask her, how many children were enrolled in the program at the same time the defendant's son was enrolled in the program?
Approximately 70, 75.
Okay, and of the 70 to 75 students, the only student expelled was the defendant's son.
Yes, ma'am.
That should tell you something, sir. Stop making excuses. Okay. I didn't tell, he didn't look at the paper, he had it underneath him, but he didn't look at it. Well, plagiarizing. So he copied from somebody on a paper that was supposed to be original work, did it once, he did it twice. Do you understand your son has a problem?
Well, we all have problems.
No, I never had a problem being expelled from
perfect.
school, sir, for cheating. I never had a problem being expelled from school for cheating.
I have lied.
I have 5 children and 13 grandchildren. All have completed college, some professional school. None of them have ever been expelled for cheating. That's a lot of people.
Do you feel it's fair to expel a child from a school because of
cheating? Absolutely. Not that I usually let people ask me questions, but the answer is absolutely. Because if 70 children are working hard to get good grades and studying and creating original works when they're supposed to create original works, and your son who's getting a 99 on a math test when he's been getting low scores on tests, all of a sudden becomes a shining star one day, and it's a pattern, and then they find another cheat sheet under his bottom. That's something that suggests to the other 70 students that are trying to do the right thing, that it's okay to cheat. And so if you want to cheat on this test to get a 99, it's okay. You can't run a school where you permit kids to mingle with kids who are trying with kids who are cheating. So do I think it's fair? Absolutely. Okay, how much money was reversed by this bank?
$1,050 plus $45, a $15 fee per transaction.
$1,095. Okay, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,095. Sir, your problem is not with the plaintiff. Your problem's with your son.
He's like all of us. He made a mistake. And
No, he didn't make one mistake. I'm going to tell you something. Honestly, I used to say when I was practicing in a different court that if criminals got caught the first time or every time that they committed a crime, they'd stop committing crimes. Problem is, they commit a crime and they don't get caught. And then they commit another crime and they don't get caught. Then they commit third crime and they get caught and they're brought to court. And their lawyer argues this is their first arrest. Not their first crime, because they can't argue that, but it's a first arrest. So if what you're suggesting is the 3 times that your son was caught cheating were the only times he cheated, you're deluding yourself. He got caught 3 times. Because if these were the only 3 times that he cheated, he is the unluckiest person on the planet. Okay, we're done here. 1095, judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
I felt the difference was between the wording, what it means as far as being expelled versus being like sent home.
I'm extremely pleased. This was totally a matter of honesty and integrity. And obviously it stems from the father down to the son.
But he explained that's the same word. And again, that's why you come to court, and she did what she had to do.
We have kids that try to cross the line, come close to that line. But as I mentioned, our instructors are pretty savvy and they're on it, and we can tell pretty much, so.
I am happy finally done. It's been a burden, it's been a stress, and hopefully it's done.
Cheaters never win.
So I think it's really important for the plaintiffs, as the runners of a homeschooling system or a schooling system, to have a better contract for the parents that are signing, especially with a payment plan option there should be exhibits attached to the signature page, not just referencing, oh, we're agreeing that we read the policy from the website. It's just as easy for you to reprint it, attach it, and require a signature, an initial on the bottom so that you don't have parents like these that say, I never went to the website, I never saw it.
I agree with you.
If you have problems like this, there's no denying the fact that you initialed each page and each policy.
I think that this is a learning experience because they just started the program in 2020. And this is probably the first experience that they've had because he's the first ever expelled anybody else. But they'll clean up.
Her former co-worker, Diamond Horton, for vandalizing her car and harassment while working together.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2141, Hill versus Horton.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Hill.
Yes, sir.
What's this man's name?
Claudius Brown.
You have a child with him.
Yes, ma'am.
Who's 10 years old?
Yes.
Is that your only child?
No, ma'am.
How many children do you have?
I have 4 children.
Is he the oldest?
She is the oldest.
She's the oldest?
Yes.
Does she see her father?
No.
Hasn't seen him in how long?
Months to a year.
The defendant has 2 children with him.
Yes, ma'am.
How old are they?
Well, he'll be 2 on the 9th, and then I have a 10-month-old.
And then, according to what I've read here in either the complaint or the answer, he has at least one other child.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is how old?
Probably about 7.
Does he see that child?
Every blue moon when she brings them.
So once in a while?
Yeah.
So he has 4 children altogether?
Yes, ma'am.
And you currently live with him?
Yes.
What does he do for a living?
He works at a warehouse.
And you?
But I'm a certified nurse assistant.
Who takes care of the kids?
Me and Claudius.
You work different shifts?
Yes, he works overnight. I work day shift.
So you're currently working?
Yes, ma'am.
But there came a time, I'm just trying to figure out why everybody's sort of mad and fighting over him. I don't understand it. There must be something that you ladies see that is hidden from me, because it is your claim, Miss Hill, that Miss Horton not only vandalized your car, but that she caused you to be fired from your job. She says that you filed a false restraining order against her and that actually you caused her to lose her job, and it's all over the prize, which I can never really understand. How long have you been working in your current job?
About 3 months now.
So you got another job?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you like it?
Yes.
Making about the same money or more?
A little less.
And where are you working?
I'm a machine operator.
So you got another job?
Yes.
Because all this started when all of a sudden you found yourselves working at the same place?
Yes.
And in what month was that?
That was, I started the job May 31st, but it spilled over into June is when everything took place.
And how long were you working at the same place?
3 months. I started March 4th of 2022.
Okay, so it was a short-term employment for both of you. And you were there first?
Yes, ma'am.
And you came shortly thereafter, shortly after she started to work. Had you ever met each other?
No.
Well, explain to me what the problem was.
So there's a history that started back in 2019 via text messages and Facebook. So we've had an ongoing beef for years.
Who cares? Now you're going to both get smarter. You're going to come here today and you're going to both get smarter. And if he has 2 children that he doesn't see, her daughter and your 7-year-old, according to what I hear, that you see once every blue moon, that's a basket that I wouldn't be in. So you have a history of bad texting back and forth and stuff. I don't care about that. Let's get to the 2 allegations of, 1, that she vandalized your tires. When and what proof do you have that she vandalized your tires? This is after you both found yourself in the same working environment.
It wasn't my tires. She actually keyed my vehicle.
Keyed it?
Yes.
On what date?
On June 18th. And I have my police report from that.
Okay, I'll look at the police report. Did you see her key your car?
I did not see her, but I requested video footage from the job, and they stated that they would give me the video footage.
Do we have it?
We don't have it, but the city attorney was unable to receive it as well. But I have a letter from the city attorney.
You don't have it here for me, and you didn't see her key your car.
Yes.
What we're here for is a trial, so I need what proof you have that she keyed your car. I assume your car was at work.
Yes.
When it was keyed, okay? And I'm assuming that you don't like each other, that things got nasty, heated on social media, back and forth. I'm assuming all that is true. All I need for you to show me is proof that she keyed your car.
Well, I have audio recording from HR where they're stating that everything was initiated by the defendant. And Arkansas is a one-party state, so I can play the audio for you.
Oh, was she on the audio?
They're talking about the video in the recording and that they were supposed to give it to me.
Can't help you. Okay. This next part of your case is that she caused you to lose your job.
Yes.
Go.
So I have my termination letter stating that the defendant...
I'd like to see a termination letter.
It's a joke.
This is the description of the termination letter and description of the violation. Kiana has been involved in altercations with another employee. While the other employee instigated the situations, it has gotten to a point where multiple other staff are now involved. I don't know what that means. At this point, it is affecting patient care and causing a hostile work environment. Termination effective immediately. I assume that you have a similar letter because you were terminated. May I see it?
Yes. I also have a final warning.
Just a second. Okay. On Wednesday, June 15th, 2022, Diamond, that's you.
Yes, ma'am.
Was given a final written notice concerning harassment of other employees. It has since been reported that the harassment has continued. Also, multiple other staff have been pulled into this situation to the point that it's affecting patient care, and it's a termination letter. Okay. So I'm assuming since you got this, you were notified previously about having any communication with each other. You were not.
I was out for COVID. I had just got back to work June 15th of 2022. And I found out that Hill was working there. I never knew she was working there at all. And so I got called to the office.
What was the beef about? I don't understand.
The other baby mama. It's the reason why we're into it.
The 7-year-old's mother?
Yes.
The 7-year-old's mother?
Yes. Yes.
And later today.
How much money in total did you pay Miss Goodwin for her work in planning your wedding?
I paid her $50.
Well, don't you think that's ridiculous?
Kiana Hill claims her former co-worker, Diamond Horton, harassed her at work and caused her to be fired. Diamond is countersuing for filing a false restraining order.
My question was a relatively simple one, because I'm going to make this as simple as possible before I probably dismiss both of them. I would like to see, after June 15th, 2022, up until the date of the termination, which is June 23rd, 2022, how the harassment continued. I would like you to show me from June 15th.
The actual date was June 14th.
Well, this says June 15th.
I wasn't working.
Shh.
She
This violation.
My friends as well. We have the date timestamp.
I just want you to show me after June 15th, between June 15th and June 23rd,
yes, ma'am,
what further acts that you allege are acts of harassment occurred.
I have the schedule showing the date.
Shh. Well, I don't know what this is.
A fake Facebook page that she made.
How do you know this is a fake Facebook page that she made?
That was a requested message that was sent to me after her and myself had a conversation, and she was threatening to beat me up. And it says, since you didn't apologize, D is going to beat you up.
Okay.
The D that they're referring to is Diamond.
Oh, my God.
What is this?
The 870 number is her calling my phone.
Okay. And 870.
The missed calls.
This was on what date?
That was on June 19th.
What were you calling her for at 6 o'clock in the evening?
Well, the day she accused me of vandalizing her car is the day that we had worked together. She called the police and her family came up there and they all had guns. That's the reason she got terminated, because she brought a gun on the premises. And they came up there to jump me.
That's a lie.
When I went outside.
I just want to ask you why you called her.
I called her to ask her because the June 16th is when I sat down. I had a conversation together to drop all beef. Like, no issue.
I don't want you. You want to say you can't control yourself. Understand, you're sending me a bad message. If you can't control yourself here, which is a very controlled setting, I'm going to say to myself, this is somebody who can't control themselves outside of the setting. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I called her to ask her why did she feel like I vandalized her vehicle, because before that we sat down and we had a conversation together at work saying it should be dead, like why we should not have any beef over him at all, and that the kids were involved. And so we agreed to let it go. So then she accused me of vandalizing her vehicle.
What was the beef about? I don't understand.
The other baby mama is the reason why we're into it.
The 7-year-old's mother?
Yes.
Yeah. The 7-year-old's mother?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So we have no proof of vandalizing, and this is nonsense. You want to tell me about the restraining order that you filed?
There was an order of protection placed after she was harassing me at work.
May I see it?
Yes. But it was also rescinded.
By the way, does he pay child support for your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
He does. How much?
He pays probably about $239 every 2 weeks, somewhere around
Does he pay it to you?
Yes. Well, it's through child support.
But he pays it to you?
Yes.
And he's current?
Yes. Well, there's back pay, but he's currently paying.
Okay. So was there a hearing on this order of protection?
It was not.
There was
No,
not.
ma'am,
Did
there
you
was not a hearing.
Just a second. Did you appear?
No, I rescinded it.
I understand that. I just want to know the court found that the petition was dismissed.
It was a false accusation.
Mm-mm. Okay. So the reason that the order states it was dismissed is that the petitioner doesn't meet the definition of family or household member as defined in whatever statute is, and therefore does not allege the existence of domestic abuse. Doesn't address the gravamen of the petition. It's a more procedural dismissal because she's not related to you in any way. I mean, having children with a person in common doesn't make you, at least in this jurisdiction, part of the household. Okay, you both look like nice ladies. You know, he has kids with 2 other people. Not a great track record.
He really don't see them because they don't let them. They don't want their kids around me.
There's a reason. You know, maybe not a great track record. It's not good for your children. It's really not good for your children. I mean, your children, believe it or not, your children are related to each other. I mean, you may not have any interest whatsoever, but when your children get older, they may have a curiosity about who their half-sibling is, what they look like, they alike. They may have interest. So all I can suggest to you is your children didn't ask to be born. The idea that you exert any energy whatsoever, negative energy with regard to each other, is ridiculous. Really ridiculous. But for him, you wouldn't have any contact with each other. Am I reading that right?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Well, why? He hasn't been in your life in years. And I know that he shouldn't have been in your life at least for the last 7 years because he's got a 7-year-old with somebody else, right? And you have a 10-year-old. Mm-hmm. Goodbye, except for your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And
could I state that the situation is not about him. It's about the harassment, the lost wages. That's more of my concern with her. It has nothing to do with
I
him.
was working before you. I was working at a job. You came to my job.
Just a second. What I'm telling you is, right now, and I don't have to get into it any further, right now, she's got the guy.
I don't care.
Just a second. Right now, she's got the guy. So that would perhaps give rise to some animus on your part. With regard to her position, he's working and he's paying money to your child, which is, in her mind, taking money away from her 2 children that she has with him. Well, that's his responsibility. You knew about that child and you knew about the 7-year-old. Mm-hmm. So what I'm telling you is there's a lot of negative energy going on. You both got jobs relatively soon after this. It was probably not a good idea for you to stay in the same place. And your employer was absolutely right and actually quite brave in today's times to say, we're terminating both of you because your job is affecting patient care. Because it's not only the 2 of you, other employees have been drawn into this drama.
That's because she brought them in.
I don't know whether she brought them in or not, and I don't care whether she brought them in.
And later today.
She wasn't your best friend. She wasn't even a close friend. You hadn't spoken to her in years. So clearly you called her to do a job for you that was her profession. And in addition to doing that, she bought you your wedding dress.
Kiana Hill claims her former co-worker, Diamond Horton, harassed her at work and caused her to be fired. Diamond is countersuing for filing a false restraining order.
Now, of all the places that you have to work, you had to work in a place where she was working.
I didn't know she worked there.
And she didn't know that you were there.
She did on the first day that I started, and she told everyone who I was and what the situation was.
I was out for
between me.
COVID.
Okay, who cares? Anyway, cases are dismissed. Goodbye, good luck.
This court is adjourned.
I feel like the judge, she made the right decision.
She didn't listen.
Because I'm with her baby's father, which is now my baby's father.
He had nothing to do with this situation.
I just want to be there for my kids.
You know, to his credit, he's paying support.
Sure. Has a job.
Has a job. And I don't know why these two women feud when, according to plaintiffs, she has no interest in him anymore.
And she's getting support.
She's getting support. I just don't understand. There are so many things that life has that present obstacles. Why fight over a guy?
There's many good causes you could get behind and fight for. Let's choose one of those.
Right.
Case number 2149, Goodwin versus Philpott. All parties, please step forward.
Manuelita Goodwin is suing wedding planner Kayla Philpott for repayment of items purchased for Kayla's wedding.
Miss Philpott, how long have you known Miss Goodwin?
Since I was a child. I don't remember much of her when I was a child, but she remembers me as a baby.
Well, I don't know what she remembers. You were getting married. When? What was the date of the wedding?
May 6, 2021.
Where was the wedding supposed to be held?
It was going to be held in Turlock.
Is that a wedding venue?
Yes.
How many people were coming?
It ended up being around 25 people. It was kind of small.
How many people did you invite?
60.
But 25 came.
Yeah.
It was during the height of COVID. Tell me, when you contacted Miss Goodwin, you contacted her because you knew she was a wedding planner, right?
Yes.
And when did you contact her?
I believe I contacted her in January.
And at the time you contacted her, had you made any wedding plans at all?
Very little.
Okay. During the course of your wedding planning, she said she would help you.
Yes.
Prior to January 2021, when you contacted her, when was the last time you saw her?
I can't even remember.
Well, was it in 2020?
No.
2019?
No.
So you hadn't seen her in at least 2 or 3 years?
Yes.
How many times in that 2 or 3 year period did you communicate with her by text or by phone?
Never.
So the reason that you called her in January of 2021 was to assist you with your wedding?
Yes.
And she did?
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yes.
She said she laid out a whole bunch of money for you in planning your wedding and purchasing things for your wedding, and she wants to be reimbursed for that. So when you called and asked her to help plan your wedding, what did you ask her to do for you?
I asked her to help me because I really didn't have a sense of direction of what to do for a wedding. And I asked her if she would pay for a decoration. And then I told her that I was getting my tax return and that I'd pay her for the decoration. And we started with that.
Started with that. How much money in total did you pay Miss Goodwin for her work in planning your wedding?
I paid her $50.
Well, don't you think that's ridiculous? It is ridiculous, right? You called her and engaged her to be a wedding planner for your wedding. She wasn't your best friend. She wasn't even a close friend. You hadn't spoken to her or seen her in years. So clearly you called her to do a job for you that was her profession, her vocation. And in addition to doing that, she bought you your wedding dress.
Yes.
How much was your wedding dress?
I ended up, we got a few dresses. The first one didn't work out, and I believe that one was $200. And then
who paid for that one?
She did.
So the first one didn't work out. That was $200.
Yes.
And it didn't work out. Why?
I didn't like the fit on it.
Didn't like it. Okay, but you bought it. Well, she bought it.
Yes.
And where is that dress now?
I gave it back, and we ended up returning it.
Okay, so you got your money back?
Yes.
Oh, great. Strike that out. And what about the next dress?
The next dress, it was from Amazon, and we didn't like the fit either, so we ended up returning that one. And that one was...
Who ordered that dress? You or the plaintiff?
I believe it was me.
Okay, and what did you finally end up with?
I ended up getting a dress from David's Bridal that I really liked.
How much was that?
I believe it was $500.
Who paid for that?
She did.
So far you've paid $50 for her services, and so far, at least what I know, just for one dress, it was $500. Don't you think you owe her compensation for her work?
Well, she told me that, you know, she was really, really generous. She was giving, like, I did a lot of stuff. And I believe that I don't owe her because she offered to do that.
It sounds stupid to you. Okay, I know it sounds stupid to you. How much did you lay out for her wedding? In the receipts that you have for me, how much did you lay out for her wedding?
$32,87.95.
And when you asked her to be reimbursed for that money, what did she tell you?
That she was going to pay some of it when she received her tax returns, actually her wife's tax returns, and also she was working overtime to pay me back. She also stated that she was going to be getting a judgment from a State Farm check that she would be making payments, and she did pay the $50 after she made a payment arrangement with me to pay $200 a month back. And she did make the first payment of $50, and from that point, she didn't make any additional payments. So we did work together, Your Honor, to try to sell the items that were at her sister's home. I requested both Kayla and her wife at the time to sell the items. They're sitting in her sister's garage in Stockton, where I do not live. I did come down for 2 weeks to try to help sell those items.
Were any of those items sold?
Yes.
Did you get any money back from those?
Did.
How much?
$106, and then I had to pay for shipping for those items.
How much did you pay for shipping?
$75. And the rest of the items are still in her sister's possession.
Okay. $32.26. How much did you pay for your wedding other than the plaintiff's participation?
$8,000.
Did you pay that?
My mom paid for the venue, and then I paid for the other things.
How much was the venue?
$4,000.
So you paid $4,000. You personally, and what about your wife?
Well, we share an account, so it was from both of us.
What about her $3,200? Just don't have it. Just didn't pay it. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Goodwin?
No.
$32.26. Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
She told me that a lot of the stuff was gifts.
I don't have any more wedding woes.
She did a great job with the wedding.
She thought it was a gift.
She's really, really gifted at that.
Never gonna loan money to her again.
That was a relatively easy case. I think even the defendant acknowledged, besides just relying on the goodwill of the plaintiff, she had no real excuse to not pay her back, and makes our job.
Suing his former friend, Lawrence Sr., for money he gave Lawrence to run a boys' basketball team.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2167, Gabriel versus Senior.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Gabriel, it's always exciting for me when I find a case that I can't relate to based upon my own personal experience. And this has to do with sports.
Yes.
And those people who know me know that I'm really a non-functioning American when it comes to sports. I understand baseball, but nothing else. However, I have a little bit of experience with people. So you have a son, that would be you. Could you stand up for a moment? Who's tall, now you can sit down, and who likes to play basketball.
Yes, Your Honor.
And he's been playing basketball for a long time. Well, most sports stopped at the start of the pandemic. And he was playing for a team.
Yes, Your Honor.
I know that I'm going to get fuzzy on this eventually. So far, I'm holding up okay. So he was playing for the team. The team closed down, as did most other things. And the pandemic is sort of winding down, and sports are coming back. And you wanted your son to play basketball because this is your senior year in high school?
No, I'm a freshman in college, Your Honor.
Last year. So this happened last year?
Yes, I was a senior.
So this happened last year when he was a senior in high school. And you wanted him to play because he enjoyed it and because you thought somebody would find him? A scout.
Mostly the enjoyment, but there's always a chance for the scout.
Okay. And, you know, you're his father, and fathers always think that their sons are uber talented and maybe could be one of those quiet self-starters who turns out to be the hero on the basketball court. I have a grandson who plays baseball, and he plays baseball pretty well. Plays in college. His father follows him around from one game to another like it was a full-time job.
I can relate to that. It is.
Well, your son wanted to play. There was no team. The defendant was a basketball coach who you knew.
Yes, Your Honor.
Whose team was also the teams that he coached were also defunct because of COVID. So far correct, Mr. Senior?
Yes, ma'am.
So at some point you approached him and said, I'd love to start up this team again because I would like my son to play ball. He wants to play ball, and nobody else is doing it that I know of. What would it take to restart a team that could be part of a league or play other teams? You know.
Yeah, you're right.
You know.
Yeah.
Is that close?
Yeah. You're close. You're close. Yes.
Close enough.
Yeah. Yes.
Perfect. So you talked about an amount, and Mr. Senior said, I can start the team up for $8,500.
Yes, ma'am.
You, who wanted desperately for your son to play ball his senior year, said, I'm going to give you the money. You gave him $8,500. So far correct?
$8,200. It's $8,500, Your Honor. I have the check right here if you'd like it.
Okay. If you have the check, cash it. So it's $8,500. The team only played one game or one tournament?
No, it was actually four tournaments in total for that season that we played.
And how many are you supposed to play?
We had planned on 6 in total. 1 would be out of state or far away.
No. How many games were supposed to be played by your son's team being coached by the defendant?
So a tournament could have 3 games. And that takes over the course of a weekend, a Saturday and a Sunday.
So
a tournament could be 3 games.
Tournament is 3 games.
Could be 4 as well if you're successful.
Okay, so you were supposed to have 4 tournaments?
We were supposed to have 6 tournaments, and we did have 4.
Okay, so you played most of the games?
Yes.
And then the team was disbanded?
Yes.
For whatever reason, may or may not be relevant. So how much money do you want back? You're suing him for $4,800.
Right.
Well, you know, math is my second non-strong suit.
Yep.
But if you paid him $85 and you played 2/3 or 3/4 of the games that you were supposed to play, why do you think you would be entitled to $4,800 back?
Because I also fronted the money for the uniforms.
Well, that was spent.
And the graphics.
Well, that was
in
spent.
addition to the $8,500.
I understand that, but that was all spent. The uniforms, the players got.
Right.
And they kept them?
The players kept some, and the defendant has the rest of them.
Okay. Do you want them back?
I do not.
Well, he'll give them to you back if you want them, because he's not using them.
How do I know that? This is his team, his organization. It's a non-for-profit company.
Okay, let's deal with it slowly. We're dealing with the math first. Do you have, Mr. Senior, do you have any of the uniforms?
No, ma'am. I never collected uniforms.
Did you have?
Sole possession.
What?
Well, he had sole possession of the uniforms.
So you don't have any uniforms?
No, he's the one that handed them out.
Okay. Did any of the players give them back to you?
No, none of them gave.
So you don't have any uniforms? He
No.
doesn't have any uniforms?
Okay. But, Your Honor, it didn't cost $85 to run the team, that's my...
Just a second. Now, what we're talking about, sir, your $8,500 went to have 6 tournaments. You had 4 tournaments, right?
Yes.
Whether or not you get your money back is a whole other thing. But the uniforms were purchased. That you don't get back. The advertising, graphics were done. That you don't get back.
But
Whether it's for 4 or 6.
That was his team's name on it.
Doesn't matter. What difference does it make?
Majority did not pay.
You have anything that requires that they pay in a contract?
That would be Coach Larry that he does, and he passed out those to the kids.
No, he didn't put in $8,500. You did.
Jason Gabriel claims his former friend, Lawrence Sr. owes him money after they started a boys' basketball team.
Now, can you tell me why the tournaments were cut short, sir?
There was a number of reasons, Your Honor. One of them was right from the start, both me and my other son tried to discourage Mr. Giamni about forming a team of that age group.
Okay. I don't want to get back into that, sir. You took his money. You played 4 out of the 6 tournaments. How much were you paid to coach out of this $8,500?
I wasn't paid anything.
Did you?
It's more of an administrative cost.
What administrative costs?
Scheduling tournaments, gyms, gas, transporting kids that didn't have rides. More than half the team was not supported by their family. At least one kid was homeless.
Was there an accounting that you asked for, sir?
Yes, that was my initial response to Coach Larry. Was yes, he told me $8,500 to start the team.
No, I'm asking you an accounting at the end of the day.
I asked him where the money went. Like, could he account for $8,500
in addition to $1,600 that other kids paid to play. That's how I was going to get my money back. It wasn't just, I'm going to give you the money and you go do with it what you want. He told me it was $8,500 to start the team, and I would get my money back.
Oh, from what source?
The kids pay to join the team.
Okay. How many people were on the team?
We had as many as 14, maybe 16 come through.
To tryouts. They didn't play. I'm sorry. How you doing, Your Honor?
How am I doing? I've been better. You're his son?
Yeah, I actually run the program
yes.
with him. Yes.
Okay, good. So how many young men were playing basketball?
On the team that you're talking about that's in question, I believe there was as many as 10 to 12 that actually came. The numbers vary because we're talking about 18-year-old children that come and go as they please. They don't really want to be that.
18-year-olds are maybe children to their parents. They're not 18-year-old children.
When it comes to this, then
the
responsibility part, yeah. I don't know. I'm old, I guess. They're children to me still. Sorry.
What I want to know is, did you have a contract with him, a written contract?
I did not.
You just said, here's your $8,500 and I'll get my money back when the kids sign up and pay their dues. How much do they pay each to join the team?
Coach Larry set that number at $600 per player.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Can we tell you where that number comes from? Over the years, because we've been doing this for over 20 years, the average cost to run a team for a full season, we averaged it out to be about $600 per kid, because on a 10 to 12-man roster, 10 being the least you should have.
How does he make money?
We don't make money, I'm sorry. We don't make any money.
So you don't make any money, you just do this for the love of the sport?
He grew up in a basketball family, he's played basketball all his life. I've been in a sports family, my brother has, and we just love sports.
So this is not a money-making operation?
Not at all. We probably put in more money than we've made or put out in the program. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, sir.
Your Honor, I coach high school football. Actually, his son goes to the school I coach. So I was aware of him, and I also coach baseball. So I just don't, you're not going to make any money coaching youth sports if that's what everybody's saying.
Well, I'm just asking you.
No, I know that.
I'm just asking you, because there is a suggestion here that some of that money was to pay you as coach. And I just want to know whether that is in fact correct, whether any of this $8,500 went to you.
Not directly, no. Talking about gas.
Indirectly to pay for gas and pick up
maybe a
that.
car repair. I only had one car at the time. Okay. So,
Mr.
me and my wife
Gabriel,
were retired.
Mr. Gabriel, can you tell me if you have, since you have no written contract,
yes.
You have no written contract requiring anything. You were supposed to start up a basketball team, which he did. I assume you played, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you played in 4 out of 6 tournaments. Stand up next to your dad. Did you play successfully?
I only played 3 out of the 4 tournaments.
That's reasonable.
But we were
Is
successful.
that normal? That members, I don't even know how many people are on the basketball court at a time.
5 at a time.
What?
5 at each team at a time, so 10
5
total. Yes.
Well, if you had 10 to 12 kids, you what? What are you laughing at? I don't know.
I tried to expose it to you before this case. I tried to put it on TV. I played the Lakers.
So if I get back
the
up to
Clippers.
2019, we met Coach Larry in 2019. I didn't just pick him out of the blue now.
I didn't suggest that you picked him out of the blue.
So my son
Mr.
played
Gabriel.
for him in the past.
Mr. Gabriel, you don't look like the man that would give some stranger $8,500 to start up a team, not knowing him.
Correct.
Okay, I accept that. I just don't understand that are you a business person?
I am.
What kind of business are you in?
I'm a contractor.
Well, if you're a contractor.
Yes.
That I know. You have contracts.
Absolutely.
You're a contractor has contracts. And the contract that you do, you build homes or you build...
I remodel homes, yes.
Okay. So the contracts that you do lay out with specificity what you're going to do, what the materials cost are, what the VIG is on it, within a certain amount of play. But it lays out everything that you're going to do. You're turning over $8,500 to the defendant, and there is nothing in there that suggests that with any specificity what he has to do to comply. He had to start a team, which he did, right? Had to start a team, which he did, where your son played.
Yes.
Which he did. There were supposedly 6 tournaments, out of which 4 was successfully played, and your son played in 3 of them, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you should have been happy. Somebody got a chance to see him. Did anybody give you a basketball scholarship?
I do play Division III basketball in Brooklyn.
Good for you. There you go. Did somebody find you at one of these games?
No.
How were you recruited?
I did multiple showcases, and I won in Connecticut in particular.
He's a good player, Your Honor.
He's a good player.
And so I was found through showcases that I did by my own.
Okay. But you played, and that was good practice. It was good.
Yes.
I don't know why it was disbanded after 4 tournaments. Do you? Do you?
Yes. There was multiple players who did not want to play anymore because they were verbally abused by the coach, and they just were fed up. And then there was other players that were let play for free, and people just thought that was unfair.
What do you mean with not play for free? What is? Explain that to me.
That they were just let on the team without paying.
Oh, so some people were disturbed that some people paid to play and some didn't.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have anything that requires that they pay in a contract?
That would be Coach Larry, that he does, and he passed out those to the kids.
No, I'm asking you for your. He didn't put in $8,500. You did. Here it says, use some fees to catch up on my mortgage. I assume that's your home mortgage.
Correct, after the season was over.
Well, you can't do that. You can't do that, sir. Do you understand?
Jason Gabriel is accusing his former friend, Lawrence Sr., of owing him money after their boys' basketball team ended.
Go ahead, sir.
I put the money to the team. He runs the team. I can't tell him how to run his team.
No, would you have a contract, sir, that tells you what your $8,500 was to be used for, and the expectation that you were going to get that money returned to you via fees that were paid to each individual player? That has to be it. And in the event that they don't pay, who's going to pay?
Well, I do have a text message from the defendant saying, I did not use all the money. It did not cost $8,500.
Okay,
and I will pay you back.
That's what I would like to see. Because it was disbanded for whatever reason. All your reasons, sir, are hearsay. What is your first name?
Gianni.
Gianni. The reasons are hearsay. Why people left, they didn't like to be yelled at, they didn't like some people. That's all stuff that I can't process as a jurist in my head. All I know is this is a contract case. So now he paid $8,500, and did you, Mr. Senior, at some point say the $8,500 hasn't been all used up, and I'll give you back some of the money?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
And this is also a text message saying he used it for his mortgage and that he agreed to pay me $400 a month to pay back the money.
Coach, fees to catch up on my mortgage, use some fees to catch up on my mortgage, at least $1,500. And between operating costs, there is roughly $2,400 left.
Correct.
Well, that's what you wrote to him.
Yeah, and I was willing to give him the money that the kids had paid up front.
No. There is roughly not the money that the kids paid up front, sir. You say to him in your text, after this was all over, because I assume that this is all over after the team was just banded, there is roughly $2,400 left. So I'm going to have to work out sort of a payment arrangement, if you don't mind, which means you didn't have the money, but it was left over and you spent it on something else. And it's here it says, use some fees to catch up on my mortgage. I assume that's your home mortgage.
Correct, after the season was over.
Well, you can't do that. You can't do that, sir. Do you understand? Okay, well, this acknowledges several things. It acknowledges that he used $1,500 to catch up on his mortgage, right? And that, according to you and according to your son, whether or not you took a fee for yourself, paying your home mortgage is a fee. Do you understand that, sir?
I do.
All righty. So
I sure do.
You sure do. So $1,500, did you pay him back the $1,500?
No, because at that point...
No, the answer is no. And you said even after the $1,500 that you used to pay your home mortgage, there was still $2,400 left. That's what you said in here. That's a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then you add 24, and 15 is 009 is $3,900.
Yes.
Even my rudimentary math suggests to me that that is a correct number. Well, that's minimally what you owe him, your mortgage payment and the $2,400 left. You're suing him for $4,800.
Right.
This acknowledges 39.
Absolutely.
Prove to me any more.
So I went back to Mr. Senior and I said, I didn't necessarily believe that it cost $5,500 to run the team. I said, so therefore, you owe me $5,000. I said, you need to either get a loan and pay me back, or he said, I can't get a loan. I can give you $400 a month.
I'd like to see the exchange.
I said, if you're going to give
I'd like to see the exchange. Just because you said, I think it's $5,000.
And this is where he says, I'd like to pay you back.
This doesn't say anything about $5,000.
And this is where I told him that he misappropriated money that was owed back to me, and that was his response.
Just because you said it, he doesn't acknowledge here in his answer that it's $5,000. Silence cannot be construed as acknowledging $5,000. Even the math doesn't fit in. You played more than half the tournaments. So
can we see how much the tournaments cost then, please?
No, I'm not bothering. That's nonsense. Put something in a contract. You're a contractor. Have a contract. Right now, he owes you $3,900.
And not for the uniforms?
No.
That has his team?
No, he says he doesn't have the uniforms.
Okay.
And I didn't go to 7 years postgraduate school to discuss a basketball uniform, a pair of shorts, and a pair of socks. I don't care.
The uniforms are $1,000.
Well, then somebody's overpaying for a pair of shorts. $3,900. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're finished.
Thank you.
Court is adjourned. I think it was unfair.
I'm glad she ruled somewhat in my favor.
Because he sponsored a team.
And yes, did I do it for my son? I did. But there was 11 other young men that I did it for.
Fighting amongst each other, poor discipline, and the lack of financial support from the kids.
When you have a group of 18-year-old young men and you don't practice and you don't kind of reel them in and show them that you're the coach and that you run the team, it can get a little hairy.
It is what it is.
I did what I did for these young men. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
Me and Jason's are friends. I don't think this is a deterrent.
Always have contracts.
Okay. So I know that when we got the paperwork on this case that you really tried hard to give me a rudimentary lesson in basketball.
I did. Those years managing in high school really paid off today. So
yes,
learned
that's right.
a lot.
You managed.
I did a basketball team, so I know a little bit about AAU. A lot of the kids that played at the school that I went to had previously played on AAU teams, so I kind of get
What's
the dynamic.
AAU?
Oh, Amateur Athletic Union, AAU.
I never would have figured that.
Me neither. So they played on a lot of AAU teams before coming to high school, so I know a little bit about the structure. And when I read it, it's a nonprofit organization that kids play in to get exposure, hopefully to move up to the next level of basketball. But to me, I read it as he was sponsoring the team for $8,500, sort of like how you see in Little League, you know, Johnny's Pizza across the front of the
No,
team's
that
uniforms.
wasn't this.
But this seemed like a different type of setup, and to go through the coach directly, I'm not sure the very specific structure of who gets paid and who doesn't, who sponsors and who doesn't, but definitely paying your mortgage out of an $8,500 that was meant to start a team seems a little outside.
Yeah, well, it's
scope.
outside the box, especially since both he and his son say they do this without compensation. Well, you don't have to take money and put it in your pocket. If you take money out of that account and pay your personal mortgage, that's getting paid. It was not a difficult case, and the text messages made the whole thing a lot easier. Now I know that there were 5 people.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I